This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 147. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. On today's episode, we're going to be doing things a little bit different. We will be without the Doc as he's celebrating his 42nd birthday. Hopefully, he's getting pinned by his wife tonight. 1, 2, 3. He probably doesn't have the stamina to go 3 rounds, though. On today's show, we've got a word that Vince McMahon absolutely hates, and it describes wrestling. Also, Vince McMahon hates this, and he has banned it from the WWE, and the first inductee of the 2021 WWE Hall of Fame. We've got all that in some news and notes. We did have an interview scheduled, ran into a little bit of a scheduling conflict, so we're going to have to adjust. We're going to have to pivot. We're going to give you some topics and trends in the wrestling industry. We're going to discuss all of that. Of course, we've got the AEW review that we're going to get into right now. So let's jump right into that. AEW's Revolution. I thought it was a really good show. I thought this was a fantastic show, marred by a botched ending. All that being said, let's kick it off. Britt Baker and Makioa ended up defeating Thunder Rosa and Rio with a little bit of interference from Rebel, who struck Rosa in the head with a crutch. This was a good match. This was a great way to start the pre-show. I thought it was a fantastic match. While I was watching this match, my buddy Putty ended up messaging me and wants to know why these ladies aren't getting more time on the actual show. Putty, the deal is AEW doesn't necessarily value the women. I say all that, and then this upcoming St. Patty's Day Slam, we're going to end up getting women that are going to be main eventing as Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker end up dueling it out. So I say that, but obviously AEW doesn't really value the ladies division. Now, the show ends up kicking off with a fantastic tag match where the Young Bucks end up defeating Chris Jericho and MJF. After the show, there's going to be some changes in the inner circle, and I'm going to kind of pull from what actually took place on the Wednesday after AEW Revolution's show with Dynamite program. You end up getting a bit of a double swerve here because you think MJF is kicking out Chris Jericho, and it sets up that way, but Jericho quickly pulls the wool over MJF's eyes and saying, hey, no, you don't think we don't talk? And they're about to kick MJF out. When MJF turns out the lights, and next thing you know, he's got his own inner circle. You've got Tully Blanchard, you've got Shawn Spears, you've got FTR, and they just end up laying waste. Oh, also Wardlow. They end up laying waste to the inner circle. Really a fantastic moment on AEW Dynamite, and it really all stemmed from what we got on AEW Revolution. Now, we had the tag team Casino Battle Royale where Death Triangle ended up winning. They earned a chance to take on the Young Bucks for the number 1 contendership. That's going to end up coming up here shortly. Shida ends up defeating Ryu Matsuami to retain her title in a fantastic match. This was really good storytelling here. It told about how Shida wanted retribution for being embarrassed over 5 years ago by Mitsuami. So this was a really, really good job. The commentators had to do a fantastic job setting this up. Tony Schiavone did a wonderful job. JR was JR. It was kind of a mixed bag. But you had a fantastic job done by Tony Schiavone here. It was absolutely great. Miro and Kip Sabian end up feeding Orange Cassidy and Chucky Taylor. Miro came out of this match looking like an unstoppable force. It was really fantastic seeing Miro just annihilate pretty much everybody. This is the way you want to come into a brand new wrestling promotion. You want to come in looking strong. You want to come in feeling strong, and you want to look like this unstoppable force. Miro looks like that right now. Now, Adam Page ends up defeating Big Money Matt Hardy. So what I thought was interesting about this match was the Dark Order again comes out to save Adam Hangman Page. And when it's all said and done, I think Hangman Page is going to become the new leader of the Dark Order. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but I think when it's all said and done, Adam Hangman Page ends up joining the Dark Order, becomes the de facto leader of all of it. Matt Hardy on AEW's Dynamite on Wednesday night ends up going out and signing Butcher and Blade to add him to his stable. And we're going to have a little bit more on what happened there, because if you remember, Butcher and Blade used to be teamed up with Eddie Kingston. Not so much anymore. Then we have the Face of the Revolution ladder match. And this is where AEW continues to take shots at WWE. The objective of this match is to get a giant brass ring that is suspended above the ring. This thing looks like a massive bronze garbage donut. In the match, we had our first big surprise as Ethan Page was introduced. Ethan Page wrestled for Impact for a while, now comes over to AEW. I thought this was a great ladder match. It had some fantastic talent in it. In the end, Scorpio Sky captures the ring and has a chance to face Darby Allin on Wednesday night's AEW Dynamite for the TNT Championship. This match takes place, and the big thing that comes out of this is Scorpio Sky has a bit of a heel turn. I like this. I like where we're going with this. Scorpio Sky is a guy who is fantastic in the ring and really hasn't been given a huge opportunity to really shine. A little bit of a heel turn from Scorpio Sky. We'll see what happens going forward. I'm intrigued to see his character development. After this, we get the big surprise, the one that everyone's been speculating about. Turns out it's Christian Cage. He's revealed as the big name player. I was shocked. I thought it was a fantastic surprise. I do want to give some credit to friend of the podcast, Kenny. Kenny and John have been buddies since they were in grade school, and the three of us have a group message where we go back and forth. And basically, Kenny called Ethan Page and he called Christian Cage as the two big names that were going to be debuting here at Revolution. So hats off to Kenny. Christian Cage getting named. Again, I thought it surprised me. I didn't even realize his contract was up. We just seen him in the Royal Rumble with WWE. I thought it was fantastic. I feel like it could have been a bit of a bigger name. Now, everybody got hyped for possibly it being CM Punk. Obviously not CM Punk, but I feel like if there was a younger, bigger name talent that you could have possibly grabbed, I feel like that would have been a little bit better of a surprise. Instead, Christian Cage, the guy is fantastic. And what you end up getting on AEW's Dynamite is Christian Cage is supposed to have some time to come out and talk and address the audience, but Kenny Omega cuts that really, really short before Christian Cage even gets out there. In the end, Christian Cage comes out, and it looks like he challenges Kenny Omega. So it looks like Kenny Omega's track now has to go through Christian Cage. It's going to be really interesting to kind of watch how all of this plays out. Now, after the high of Christian coming out, we got a fantastic cinematic match with Sting, Darby Allin, Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks. This match was absolutely fantastic, from the lighting to the way it was shot to the way it was put together as far as a story being told. The match takes place in an old factory that has multiple levels. They use the entire place. I thought this was absolutely great. It was fantastic. This is the way that you bring back a legend like Sting and you showcase him. And you showcase him with guys like Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, and Darby Allin. You let a lot of those guys do a lot of great work. You let Sting get his stuff in. I thought this was a fantastic match. Then we had our main event. And you needed the cinematic match to happen before the main event because it allowed them to set up this ring. And before we even get into this match, because I thought this match was really good, and I thought it had some bad. These types of matches I hate. I don't care for death matches. I don't think they're great. I think they're hard to tell a story because it's just gory blood and guts through the whole thing. But I think what you had here was you had two guys, in Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, who are at the absolute pinnacle of their game. And they told a fantastic story in the ring throughout the entirety of this match. It was really, really good. It was really, really, really good. The barbed wire ring ropes that exploded, those were quality. You had some exploding beds that were set up on the floor. Those weren't so good. You had a couple missteps in this. Like touching the ring rope that was supposed to explode to kind of balance yourself before you fell into those exploding beds. No explosion took place. Like I said, these matches are really, really difficult to tell a really cohesive story. And the whole time it's going on, like I said, it's just gory blood and guts. It's just a ton of it. But I thought overall, the match quality from these two guys was superb. It was fantastic. For it being this type of match, they did a great job. They did a great job telling a story. Now, sticking with the story, when it's all said and done, Kenny Omega ends up pinning Jon Moxley for the win. All right? Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers end up leaving the ring with Don Callis, and there's a clock that's starting to count down. Eddie Kingston comes out to make the save for Jon Moxley, to basically cover him from this massive bomb that's going to go off, that's going to implode the ring. And what you have here is some really good storytelling. This is the evolution of Eddie Kingston. You have Eddie Kingston, who just got done challenging Jon Moxley when he was the champion twice, and they had a brutal match both times. Comes out to make the save on his best friend, sacrifices his body to cover Jon Moxley, and then the bomb's supposed to go off. And it was really like a sparkler show. According to reports, they tested the bomb before the show, and it worked just fine. For some reason, when they went to go do the big explosion, it failed, and what we were left with was a lot of smoke. Looked like somebody strapped a pack of sparklers to each ring post, and it really flamed out. Now, the thing about this is Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley sold it like it was the biggest kaboom you've ever seen in your entire life. I think if these two guys didn't sell it as the biggest kaboom you've ever seen, it would have been able to... They wouldn't have got as much flack on Sunday night, but AEW really took it in the face on Sunday night. Now, what was great was after it was all said and done, and the crowd starts to boo, Jon Moxley gets on the mic and cuts a fantastic speech and really kind of sets up the direction for where AEW is going to go when Dynamite rolls around on Wednesday, and basically calls Kenny Omega out for being really bad at setting up a bomb. And that's what we got on Wednesday night with Dynamite. That's the direction they went in. They addressed it immediately, and they owned up to it, which was fantastic, because I think now you get to move on from this, okay? You get to move on very, very quickly from this, and you can just kind of almost forget this, right? This is going to be a punchline for a little bit, but you can almost forget it. Overall, I thought it was a great show, all right? I think Jon Moxley comes out of this looking like the face of AEW, right? It's really Jon Moxley and it's Kenny Omega at this point. And I think what we have coming out of this is you've got Kenny Omega who's about to go on his next direction, probably with Christian Cage. That's the way it looks like it's set up. But you have Jon Moxley and you have Eddie Kingston coming together. Jon Moxley owned up to everything that took place and thanked the fans. I thought this was really well done by Jon Moxley, just kind of going off the top of his head, spur of the moment. If you need to see videos of it, you can go check my Twitter. You got to go down to Sunday night, when it's Sunday night, Monday morning, Adam R. STROZ. You can check it out. He cuts a great promo. It was really, really fantastically done. I thought it was awesome. That leads us to picking the poison here, right? Who gets the point? In this, Doc's going to get the point. He takes a 3-2 lead over me. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this. Doc is celebrating a birthday. So if I didn't mention it, that's where he's at. He's celebrating a birthday. He's 42. He's an old man. But he's going to get the point. 3-2. He has the lead over me. He had Britt Baker winning while I had Thunder Rosa and Rio. All right, really and truly was a fantastic show by AEW. Look, the ending kind of skews things a little bit, but not too much. I mean, it was a good show. When we go to give you some topics and trends here for the wrestling industry, we're going to kind of peruse really quickly through AEW because we kind of mashed it all together with the AEW Revolution show. So let's jump right into SmackDown. And I think the biggest thing coming out of this week's SmackDown is, again, you have a guy who is exceptional. He's a fantastic talent, and he's totally getting misused, if used at all, in Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy has been wasted since he's left the 205 Live show. Came over to Raw, paired with Seth Rollins. Now he's on SmackDown. Basically gets used as fodder for Cesaro, which, hey, good thing Cesaro was getting a bit of a look, but you could do so much more with Buddy Murphy, and it's really, really and truly a shame that Buddy Murphy's not getting more of a look. Now, on SmackDown, we end up getting the announcement that Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler are going to be taking on Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships at Fastlane. This is such just a blow-off. I don't understand what creative's doing here. You've got these two women who are set to face at WrestleMania. You're trying to, I guess, find some competition for Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler as they hold the Women's Tag Team Championships. So you're going to pair them against the two ladies who just faced them before the one lady who has all the power in the world because she won the Royal Rumble pick to go against her tag team partner. Like, trying to put it together and figure it all out. I can't. None of it makes sense. I don't really understand it. Not really sure what WWE is thinking here. This to me just seems like some last minute, let's just throw it against the wall and see what happens type of creative. Now, the one thing that I will take out of SmackDown's programming this past week, Daniel Bryan could really add a new wrinkle to what looks to be a pretty good WrestleMania. You have a guy like Roman Reigns who doesn't have really any direction with where he's going. We know he's going to be taking Edge. That's the big match. But Daniel Bryan now getting involved, this could be, don't be surprised if WWE does this. This could end up becoming a three-way match. Remember, you've got Edge, who's a little bit older, coming off of injury. You've got Roman Reigns, who they're still trying to prop up as the baddest man in WWE. And you've got Daniel Bryan, who is always a fan favorite, and he's exceptional at what he does. You could take the three of these men, put them in a ring, and you could get a ton of beautiful magic. So don't be surprised if what we get as we get closer to WrestleMania turns out to be a triple threat match with Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what I'm saying is with what you have going on here, it could happen, and it wouldn't surprise me if it did happen. Let's transition over to Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw, this was probably the least creative show I think I've ever seen. You had so many different things going on, and it just seemed like whoever was in charge of creative was like, look, we just need to pop a number. We need to try to do something. You had The Miz and you had Bobby Lashley wrestle again, and the belief is they popped a good number last week, so why not try to do it again? And what we were promised is Bobby Lashley's coronation celebration. We didn't end up getting that. That got scrapped for Bobby Lashley going out there and basically making quick work of The Miz, beats him fast, retains his title, and we just kind of moved on. Really, really strange. Something else that was really strange in this show was the segment with Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. Braun Strowman demands Shane McMahon comes out. Shane McMahon comes out. Braun Strowman's in the middle of the ring and demands to know what the hell's going on with Shane McMahon as well as himself. Shane McMahon jumps in the ring, apologizes quickly, and then leaves. Later on in the show, Adam Pearce is told to go grab Braun Strowman and have him come down to the ring and meet him. Braun Strowman's standing in the ring, and Shane McMahon comes down. And then what you end up getting, like, honestly, I thought Shane McMahon was having a diabetic reaction, and that's coming from a diabetic. I was really concerned. Now, look, Shane McMahon often sweats a ton. When you have a diabetic reaction, you tend to get a little bit clammy. You tend to get a little bit sweaty. You tend to look a little bit pale. And that's kind of what we got from Shane McMahon in this meandering of what was probably 10 minutes of a promo that he didn't really say much. He just kind of skirted around everything. In the end, he calls Braun Strowman dumb and takes off to the back where Braun Strowman gives chase. I don't know where we're going with this. This was a total flop. I don't understand the importance of this. I just don't see where we're going with it right now. Some of the good that we got on Monday Night Raw. We ended up getting a fantastic match between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. You had two guys, best friends, give us a pay-per-view quality match. Now, what sucked was the ending. It turns out to be a double disqualification match as both of the guys end up knocking each other out. It's a no contest. But this was an exceptional match. This was a match where they ended up just tearing each other apart. They ended up knocking each other out when they hit each other with the steel steps. Don't be surprised if this leads to bigger and better things. Neither one of these guys have a match set for WrestleMania, so don't be surprised if you end up getting both these guys challenging each other at WrestleMania. Again, really good match on Monday night. We also have some continuation of Alexa Bliss continuing to torment Randy Orton. You have AJ Styles, Randy Orton. This is a fantastic match as well. And Alexa Bliss pops up on the screen as this match is starting to wind down just a little bit. And she ends up blowing out a match. Next thing you know, Randy Orton is coughing up black goo, which then leads to AJ Styles hitting him with a phenomenal forearm. This is really, really good. This elongated story that we have with Alexa Bliss, we have with The Fiend, we have with Randy Orton. I'm not sure if it's going to pay off at WrestleMania. It looks like it could lead there, but this is really good character work by both Randy Orton, Alexa Bliss. Nobody knows where Bray Wyatt is. Nobody knows where The Fiend is. AJ Styles, you can put him in the ring with, honestly, a broomstick, and he's going to have a fantastic match. So there was some highlights here on Monday Night Raw. Overall, the show felt like it was kind of a meandering mess. Didn't really get us anywhere. Now on NXT, totally different. We have the introduction, and it's about damn time that we get some women tag team championships, and we get introduced to the new women NXT tag team belts. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez are gifted these as they won the Dusty Classic. So Steven Regal ends up giving them to them and then sets a quick match for Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon. And look, surprised as all hell that Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon end up defeating Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. But what this is leading to is Raquel Gonzalez's monster push. A couple weeks ago, we said it. Raquel Gonzalez is going to get a massive push, and it's setting up right now. She was challenged by Io Shirai later in the show, so don't be surprised if your new NXT Women's Champ is going to be Raquel Gonzalez. We do have a takeover coming up, and I could see that belt changing hands at that takeover where Raquel Gonzalez ends up defeating Io Shirai. Now, we did have another fantastic match here between Adam Cole, Finn Balor. I mean, anytime you put these guys in the ring, you know it's going to be great. As this match unfolded, Adam Cole could not defeat Finn Balor. All right, and next thing you know, Kyle O'Reilly shows up on the outside. It totally distracts Adam Cole, leads to Finn Balor ends up beating him, leads to him getting a coup de grace in the middle of the ring, which leads to the 1-2-3. When it's all said and done, Kyle O'Reilly climbs into the ring. We have a lot of good storytelling going on here. Kyle O'Reilly climbs into the ring and just massacres Adam Cole. This goes back and forth. You have the refs try to break it up. It's like 6 referees trying to pull Kyle O'Reilly off of Adam Cole. Adam Cole ends up scurrying to the back where Kyle O'Reilly gives chase. In the middle of the ring stands Finn Balor, looks over his shoulder, and he said, what took you so long? So the camera's panning out and zooming out, and you see Karrion Kross. And this is where we knew we were headed. Just when were we going to get there? This was absolutely fantastic. Again, NXT does not disappoint. NXT was absolutely great. We talked a lot about AEW at the beginning of the show. They did a fantastic job building off of what was a really good, I'm going to say it again, it was a really good pay-per-view. I think the thing coming out of this that I most liked was you had Eddie Kingston and you had Jon Moxley. You kind of see, again, some storyline, some development here between these two guys. This story is going to continue. I think it's going to be fantastic. You also, I mentioned it earlier, you also had Scorpio Sky in his development, turning heel. I'm going to be really interested to see where we go with this storyline, as well as Christian Cage addressing Kenny Omega. And is Christian Cage now going to get in the mix with Kenny Omega? So there's a whole lot that's really, really good going on with AEW. Let's jump into some news and notes here. All right. This week was chocked full of a bunch of news and notes and things that kind of made my list. Now, WWE announced this week that WrestleMania will have limited fans in attendance. WrestleMania will be taking place at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, Florida, and that's going to be taking place on April 10th and 11th. Tickets go on sale next week, so you will have to get in the queuing line pretty early because, again, limited fans. So if you want to go, you can get tickets. You're going to have to get in those queuing lines very, very early. Again, WrestleMania taking place on April 10th and 11th. Now, on March 18th, WWE Network will no longer exist as NBC Peacock has taken over the streaming rights for WWE. So all WWE broadcasts, except for SmackDown and Raw and maybe NXT, not quite sure what's happening with NXT and its possible move to Tuesdays. But everything, all of your pay-per-views, all of your big events are going to be taking place on the NBC Peacock streaming network. Now, the WWE has banned wrestlers slapping their thighs when throwing high kicks, or like when Shawn Michaels would throw his sweet chin music, he'd give a little thigh slap. WWE has banned that. Now, look, the thigh slap is an old trick used by wrestlers to create a bit of a sound effect as well as help sell both the contact and the emotion and the intent behind the move, and it's now been banned by Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon was enraged when he witnessed a blatant thigh slap on SmackDown. That has led to the ban. Chris Jericho also gives you a little bit of insight into Vince McMahon and some of the things that he hates, not just thigh slaps. Also, Vince McMahon hates the word wrestling. Vince McMahon says whenever he equates something to being bad, he equates it to wrestling. He'll go, oh, that's such a wrestling idea. That's just wrestling. So thanks to Chris Jericho for giving us a little bit of insight into how Vince McMahon's mind works. Now, Molly Holly has been announced as the first member of the 2021 WWE Hall of Fame class. Sounds like you'll be able to, again, stream that on the new Peacock network. So if you are looking at checking out the WWE Hall of Fame inductions, you're going to have to get that new Peacock network app or that new streaming service. Again, that streaming service going for, I believe it's $4.99 with commercials. If you don't want commercials, I think it's going to be $9.99. Again, if you're paying for the WWE Network, you're paying $9.99 anyways. So might save you a little bit of money if you don't mind the ads in the commercials that they pump in there. Otherwise, if you want it commercial-free, you're just going to pay the same exact thing. Now, Impact announced that Rich Swann and Moose will defend their Impact World titles as well as the TNA Heavyweight Championship in a unification match. The winner is going to go on to face the AEW World Champion, Kenny Omega, at the main event of Rebellion, which is going to take place on April 24th in a title versus title match. That is huge news. Again, Kenny Omega continuing with his belt collector gimmick. So this is really fantastic. I really do like this partnership and kind of the evolution that we're getting with it as they continue to build between Impact and AEW. Now in some sad news before we get out of here. Becky Lynch announced on Thursday that her father has passed away. She had a long Instagram post. You can go check that out if you follow Becky Lynch on Instagram. But that's going to do it for this week's wrestling news and notes. Next week, we should be back at full strength. Hopefully next week, we'll be able to get this interview underway with the Suplex Shogun Jackson Stone. You can go check him out on Twitter at Jackson_Stone31 or on Instagram at Jackson_Stone313. Again, ran into some difficulties this week with putting that interview together. They were more technical than anything else. So hopefully we'll be able to get this taken care of next week. We'll have John back in the studio. He'll be a whole 42 years old, so he's going to be the old man on the show. But look for that interview coming next week, as well as, look, if you liked anything we said, if you didn't like anything we said, you can always tweet us at Detroit Podcast. You can always tweet at me, at Adam R. STROZ. Would love to interact with you. Look, check you out next week with all the happenings in the wrestling world.